pick him up. And that leaves us with one race to go for Senior OK. After the lunch break, now depending on where we've had quite a few appearances from the service. There we go, the guy driving the Mercedes Sprinter with a flatbed on the back. He's getting his money's worth. If they're not careful, Leslie Richardson will charge him a membership fee for using the track too much. Well, the good news is, he doesn't have to look far to find Boydell. But according to our timetable, and I mean, we are running about 4 minutes behind schedule, which is going to be causing Nigel Edwards all sorts of worries, because if it's not to the second, then it's not good enough. But the afternoon session here at PF International is set to begin at 10 to 3. So wherever you are in the world, and we will have a look at the Twitter account during the lunch break and read out some of the tweets. And again, we won't read out the tweets that says, what's that commentator doing saying nasty words? Well, there was a bit of an incident with a live wire and my mouth that resulted in a couple of choice words leaking out over the airwaves. So I do apologize once again. But apart from those tweets, we're going to try and find out where you are watching the action from. Because we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We have 12 races to go this afternoon. But one race to go in the morning session. And I would suggest for those people who have finished their racing for the morning and are getting set out for lunch, then come and have a look at the Senior OK field. 17 drivers, the fastest karts of all. And potentially, one of these drivers will be crowned World Karting Champion, potentially. Right here, but on the 24th of September. And here they come out onto the circuit. So we'll go through the grid shortly. If you're watching on the Telemundi Media YouTube channel and you want to know more about the CIK World Championships here at PF International, then you should go to www.tvkc.co.uk. And likewise, if you're watching this on www.tvkc.co.uk and you think, oh, I quite like this, I wonder if they've done any more. Well, Telemundi Media, they film the European Rotax and X30 Championships, and they have a channel full of their racing. Every race they record goes on their YouTube channel, including this event 12 months ago. So if you cannot possibly do without some karts going round and round on your computer screen during the lunch break, you can always go and look at last year's racing. And look at the finals, and you think, how can it get any more competitive and action-packed than it is now? And you look at the finals, and you think, yes, now I know. But we'll get to that later. Here are the OK drivers. Callum Bradshaw, Mark Kimber on the front row. Then it is Oliver Hodgson and Rasmus Lint, Ben Waldridge and Dante Yu, Ewan Wilson, Oliver Clark, Rory Hudson and Scott Mackerel, and the rest. Off we go. Callum Bradshaw in number 25 gets the jump on that CRG kart. Underneath the bridge they go. All 17 drivers safely through and onto the banking. Bradshaw, followed by the number 1 defending British champion, Oliver Hodgson. Ben Waldridge in the 47, going very wide there, going onto the bridge. He managed to somehow hold on to it as they plunge down the hill. Hard on the brakes then. The back end of the kart wants to break free. And there's a little bit of bumping and boring going on behind the top 3. And that is number 45 of Kimber in 3rd. Doing 2 classes is Mark Kimber, the Strawberry Racing driver, and reigning World Junior Rotax champion, behind a former World Senior Rotax champion, Oliver Hodgson, current British champion, Ben Waldridge, getting a warning flag as well, and Callum Bradshaw, the FIA Academy champion. We are literally looking at the top 3, all world title holders, international title holders. And they're going to be trying to pull away from the 4th place driver, Californian Dante Yu. There's Ewan Wilson in the S8 Racing number 11. And he had a warning flag just then, but Ewan is up into the top 5, and there's the move for the lead. Oliver Hodgson takes over top spot at hairpin number 1. Bradshaw thinks about it, goes for it. Back up into the first place. Kimber takes second. Hodgson down to third. He's going to get now attacked by Dante Yu in the number 24 Comp Kart entry. Dante Yu says, see you later, but not really, because Hodgson slots right back into his slipstream into 4th place. Oh, Yu over the curbs then. He almost clattered into the back of Mark Kimber. And you will see these Ewan Wilson now getting the bit between his teeth and having a little dabble at the former world and current British champion. And that S8 Racing, there's Rory Hudson with the green helmet flashing through. And this is where we will see drivers managing their race. There will be drivers that come and drivers that go, drivers that have a little flat pat in the middle of the race and then come on strong at the end. And there is Ewan Wilson getting shuffled back by Oliver Hodgson. Ewan Wilson comes across. Oh, my word. Have they forgotten that they're the fastest karts here and they've regressed to their cadet days? Because there's 7.5 minutes to go. And there's an awful lot of defending and blocking going on. Ben Waldridge in the 47, in the middle of your screen there, being chased by Oliver Clark. Clark, I'm pretty sure, is the youngest driver in the field. He's only 14 years old. There's at the back of the screen is number 4. That's Luke Knott. So Luke Knott, 4th in the British Championship last year. He's down in 12th place at the moment. Jordan Brown Nutley in kart number 17. He didn't qualify. He had a problem before he even turned the lap, but he is now trying to fight back. Coming off the bridge, there's still 2 and 3 wide. Laura Tillett is at the back. Then it is the Spanish driver, number 23, late entry, Joan Sabata. As Mark Kimber now moves into top spot. So Kimber leads from Bradshaw. Into the Bobby Game corner they go. Now around the Mike Wilson complex. The Strawberry Racing number 45 of Kimber against the Factory CRG number 25 of Bradshaw. Oliver Hodgson on the PF International number 1 kart closing in. Then it's Clark and the M Sport number 62. Wilson in the S8 Racing number 11. Followed by Waldridge. Rasmus Lintz for the Fusion Motorsport team, the Swedish entry. There's Rasmus. He is at the back of the lead group in 7th place. Then there's a gap to privateer driver number 8, James Lingard. And in a field with so many world-class drivers, it says an awful lot about the potential of this engine to really succeed. The fact that James Lingard, who's down as a privateer, and if that is the case, the driver from Huddersfield running in 8th place ahead of Luke Knott, then Jordan Brown Nutley, Rory Hudson, Archie Tillett, Dante Yu. Well, what happened to Dante Yu? I do not know. He was up into 4th place, challenging for 3rd, and now he finds himself back in 14th place ahead of Jake Douglas and Joan Sabate, with Laura Tillett next. All 17 drivers. Oh, and there's the curse to come. I was about to say all 17 drivers still running, and I look up and there's a kart spearing off onto the grass, and it is the number 36 of James Lingard. So after saying what a great job he was doing for a privateer driver and how he could compete at the front, he decides to throw it into the weeds. Up at the front, though, it's all change again. Oliver Clark now trying to come around the outside of Oliver Hodgson. Hodgson says, son, no. You're 14. I'm a world champion and a British champion. Get back in line. And Oliver Clark says, yeah, seems reasonable to me. I'll just follow you. Bradshaw in 4th. Then it is Ben Waldridge in 5th. And again, Waldridge, that is effectively a privateer kart, the Utilita Energy machine. There's Lingard stumping away. And so Waldridge in that silver and blue machine is holding his own mightily impressively. Ewan Wilson is slipping back a little bit in 6th position with Rasmus Lint in 7th, and then there's a gap back to Luke Knott in 8th. And are we going to see Hodgson make a move? No. Luke Knott actually now getting a shuffle on, 55.550. As Rasmus Lind passes Ewan Wilson, and Ewan Wilson calmly completes the crossover move. Jordan Brown-Nutley from the back of the grid up into 9th place, but there's a bit of a gap behind there. Oh, there's James Lingard watching the action unfold, and now obviously that kart just went off at the end of the main straight there, which tells me that perhaps something went ping on it and it just seized and maybe spat him off. Through the banking, onto the raised section. Waldridge still there in 5th position, with Wilson and Lind chasing him down. Mark Kimber is leading but not getting away from Hodgson in 2nd. Will Hodgson make a move? No. Clark 3rd, Bradshaw 4th. Oliver Hodgson, who came into the PF International team as the young pretender to the experience of Mark Litchfield, now finds himself the veteran amongst the drivers just out of junior karting, as Kimber takes a wider line into the Mike Wilson complex, and that almost creates an opening for Hodgson, but then Kimber has got a better run onto the main straight. Hodgson will have to defend against Clark, although maybe not, as Clark is focused on keeping Bradshaw at bay in 4th. Now Waldridge is beginning to fade ever so slightly in 5th, followed by Wilson and Lind still battling over 6th. They're not moving into 8th position, closing in on Lind and pulling away from 9th place Jordan Brown-Nutley, who's got the recovering Dante Yu off screen. And there's a move from Bradshaw on Clark for 3rd. Into the 2nd hairpin we go. Oliver Hodgson is sizing up Mark Kimber. You can see them adjusting the settings of the carb and the radiator to try and keep as much of the really good power, the good waft, for when it counts the most. 9 laps are about to be completed. Kimber getting a little bit wide. Bradshaw getting very wide, coming over that exit curb there. And Hodgson has got the bit between his teeth. Will he duck out going onto the banking? No. He's following Kimber's line with 90 seconds to go. But certainly Oliver Hodgson looks comfortable in 2nd and capable of taking the lead pretty much as and when he chooses. Does he choose to make a move at the end of this straight into the 1st hairpin? No. But they are pulling away a little bit from Callum Bradshaw. As I say that, Ben Waldridge passes Oliver Clark for 4th. The number 47 moves up. Number 62 moves back. But again, this is encouraging for Waldridge. It's very encouraging for Waldridge and Clark to be with the established, or perceived to be established, front runners. And of course, they would have come into this meeting thinking, well, I'm a front runner. Now, yellow flags under the bridge. What has happened there? And that may be the number... Well, Scott Mackrell has retired. And I think maybe the number 23 of Joan Sabate, the Spanish driver, was a late entry in the S8 race awning. And Waldridge has gone past Bradshaw. So Ben Waldridge has passed Callum Bradshaw for 3rd place. Storming drive for Ben. Wonder if he's using up a bit too much of his rubber. Laura Tillett has also retired, sadly. So it was Sabate who was out, and he was the cause of the yellow flags under the bridge. We're down to 13 runners. Not that it matters much, because as they begin their last lap, it is Kimber, and he's pulled away a little bit from Hodgson. So Hodgson has possibly thinking, well, I don't want to be in a situation where Kimber suddenly feels he has to defend. I run into him and knock my nose cone off. So he is just hanging back. Although Ben Waldridge, I don't think, has got the memo. Because Waldridge, eating into Hodgson's 2nd place, up the short chute for the final time. Bradshaw defending 4th from Clark. Then it's Luke Knott, Rasmus Lind, Ewan Wilson and Dante Yu. But it looks as though Mark Kimber is going to be the one to take the checkered flag first in senior OK. Half a corner to go. On to the main straight. Kimber takes the checkered flag. Hodgson second. Wooldridge an excellent third. Then it is Bradshaw, Clark, Knott, Lint, Wilson, Yu and Brown, Nutley, with Tillett, Hudson and Jake Douglas rounding out the finishers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the morning practice session. Just before we go, say hello to Kai Askey, one of the Fusion drivers in Mini X30, who is watching in Singapore. And Kai, a familiar fixture in the British and European karting scene, but he's back out with family in Singapore at the moment. He's watching, and I have to say, and I will say it on air, but I have used Kai's onboard footage to help coach the driver that I brought over from Trinidad. So thank you very much. And no, I'm not paying you a fee, Mr. Askey.